Hello all. Today will be a polling video, or a video going over what polls I am going to try and go for with the new and current information that we have about the future banners. And this, I believe, will be my first video talking about my polling plans on not only my main account, but as well my ult, Rob. Right, I believe I haven't made a polling video in around over a month to around a month and a half. So this will be my first one going over both of them. So let's get straight into it. Now, let me start off with the main account. Now, we've gotten some new recent information that for sure completely changes my polling plans. Basically, we are rumored to get a triple rerun banner on Castoras's first phase with only one rerun on Anaxa's. Anaxa, the rerun should be Aventurine, and for the triple rerun banner on Castoras's phase, it is supposed to be Acheron, Xiaoqiu, and Dr. Ratio. And this changes my polling plan on my main account quite a lot, because for anyone who does not know, my current main account does have an E1S1 Acheron with no Xiaoqiu, and even outside of this, I also have like 50 pulls into the Lycone banner. So if I'm able to get an E2 Acheron, right, I am currently on a guarantee because I lost 50-50, so I'd be able to get guaranteed E2 Acheron. And then if I won on Xiaoqiu, I would also be able to get his Lycone. So I'd have an E2 S1 Acheron with an E0 S1 Xiaoqiu, which I've already seen multiple videos on at this point, is very, very strong. A lot of people have told me only pull for the new DPSs. However, if I'm being completely honest, an E0 S1 Xiaoqiu plus E2 S1 Acheron is stronger than a lot of the newer E0 S1 units, right? So I don't really have much issue investing into Acheron, especially since she is one of my favorite characters in the game. The only problem I've always had with her is that she just has incredibly niche teammates, and without Xiaoqiu with your Acheron, her performance is very noticeably worse by a quite large margin, right? So for the main account, I plan to go for E2 Acheron with my guarantee, and then E0 S1 Xiaoqiu, hopefully, so long as I don't lose the 50-50. If I do, I'm basically fucked, right? There's nothing I can really do about that. At the end of the day, this is a gacha. And going after this, what would I do after this, right? I have an E2 S1 Herta, I have an E2 S1 Acheron, I have two E2 S1 Emanator's, which now that I think of it is pretty crazy, right? What do I do after this? Well, I think I take a long fucking break from not pulling on my main account. Now, this is something I've been telling people for quite a while, right? The reason I vertically invested in Herta was because I just wanted a team or a character to last me a long ass time without me having to constantly pull for newer, teams and comps and units to clear the end game faster, right? Acheron at E2 S1 to this day is very, very strong. Even without Xiaoqiu, there are 0 cycles with an E2 S1 Acheron. So you include Xiaoqiu with his Lycone on top of this, and I will most likely pretty much have a breeze through all endgame content, including Pure Fiction, as Xiaoqiu makes Acheron pretty good in Pure Fiction. And then Herta is also an AoE Emanator who is very good in Pure Fiction and pretty much all endgame modes as well. So I don't plan to pull for a very, very long time until most likely my Acheron does start, having age issues, and the newer characters are obviously going to continuously become stronger and stronger. But until that happens and it's getting to the point where I can almost barely clear endgame, I will not pull on my main account anymore. And as for Rob has a weird plan, right? The problem with Rob is originally he had a very, very clear path in terms of who he was going to go for. However, unfortunately, Rob has now stacked up, I believe, 3 50-50 losses in a row. So this has led to me having to dump around 250 pulls for my E1 Tribby. Meaning, if I cannot win for Castris's 50-50, I will likely not be able to get her at all, right? Rob as well has 40 pity on the Lycone banner, so he can also manage to get Castris's Lycone, although it's not necessary. But of course, I won't do this unless I'm actually able to win the 50-50 on Castris first. If I lose the 50-50 on Castris, I think it's quite obvious to many people what I'll do. I will end up going for either a Noxa if he gets crazily buffed in terms of hyper carry, because then I'd be able to use him with my E1S1 Robin, or I have to unfortunately wait 2 more patches until Phaenon's release, and then that's the next character that Rob would pull for. So those are my current pulling plans on both accounts. Main account is going for E2 Acheron plus Xiaoqiu, and the ult account will go for E0 S1 Castris and then Hyacine, so long as I win the 50-50 on Castris. However, considering the possibility I lose the 50-50, it is then either a Noxa, depending on his final kit version, or Phaenon. So I really want to edit this in real quick. I was looking back at the video footage to make sure, I didn't say anything stupid or wrong. And I did say something wrong, unfortunately. Sorry about that. So I have to edit this in real quick. I said I wasn't going to pull for anyone on my main account if I ended up getting E2 S1 Acheron plus Xiaoqiu. However, this isn't necessarily true. There is one type of characters that I would be continuously investing in, even if I'm not investing into new comps, which is supports, right? I lost my 50-50 for Tribby on my main account. There's basically 0 chance that I get enough pulls within this version to hit soft pity again. So the only way I'd actually be able to get Tribby is if I were to win the 50-50. However, I currently don't really want to use Tribby because 1, I have an E2 S1 Herda, so it's not really necessary, right? And 2, I'd rather use my guarantee so that once again, I can get E2 S1 Acheron, right? So what I do after getting E2 S1 Acheron plus Xiaoqiu is Tribby. Tribby on her rerun, I would likely go for the E1, because obviously I'm not pulling in 3.3 and I'm not pulling in 3.4 unless that's when Tribby reruns, right? So I should get enough pulls within 2 patches to get an E1 Tribby, even if I lose the 50-50s. And then after this, if there are any new, more broken supports that can maybe go in with my E2 S1 Acheron or my E2 S1 Herda, then again, I will likely vertically invest in these guys, probably E1 if they're strong enough, right? Supports are basically the only characters I'd even bother doing this with, because I'm obviously not wanting to pull new comps and new DPSs. So I would just like to add that to this video. I'm not gonna pull anyone. However, I will likely invest in Tribby for my Herda on her rerun and any future supports if they're promising enough. Love you all. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.